Hi, everybody, and welcome to #Nailed It with me, Tova Lee.
I mean, Michael Lee.
We're back.
Wow, it feels like it has been ages.
It
hasn't
has. How long has it been? It's been a few weeks.
We did a few during lockdown, didn't we?
No, we did, but we haven't done one in I'd say about 3 weeks. No,
more than that.
No,
This is how many weeks of lockdown now? What, 9 weeks?
Well, this is week 9, but we haven't done it in like 3 weeks, I think.
Longer than that.
No, Leon, you're there? I don't know. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
we'll know. But anyway, we've been on a little break, and it's been really nice having a little break. But a lot of you have actually written in and said that you missed the podcast. I know you find that hard to believe. But
I haven't said a word.
No, really, but people do listen to this podcast, and they were very upset that we weren't doing it. And yesterday, when I said that we were recording one today, 3 people were very happy to hear that.
Well done. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much for the 3 people. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yes. I'm very excited about today's show, actually.
Well, how so?
Because we've researched it.
Yes.
We actually have a really
absolutely.
good topic. It's what's on everybody's minds.
Well, especially in this country at the moment.
Yes. We're going to be talking about going back to school. Kids going back to school. Is it happening? Isn't it happening? When is it happening? Is it safe? Do we feel safe? I actually asked my followers yesterday to kind of write in and say what's happening in their country. What are they doing? How do they feel about it? And that's actually something new we're going to start doing at the podcast, by the way.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I've said it for a long, long time.
Oh, now it's
what
your
do you
idea?
think?
You've
What do
made
you
it.
think?
You've
said it
lit-
for many, many times. What do you think? What do the people think? And you go, and you just talk over me.
So now it's your idea?
It's always been my idea.
You're taking credit over
Always been
my
my idea. Always been my
Unbelievable.
idea.
This is what I deal with. You see, this is what I have to put up with. Your amazing idea.
Thank you.
Okay. I've decided to ask the listeners basically.
Yeah.
What they think about every week's topic. That way people can get more involved. And actually, a lot of people have had a lot to say about the going back to school. But before we do that, since this show will be going out tomorrow, and this is like literally happened just in the news, can we just talk about what's been going on in the UK?
Well, for those of you that aren't in the UK and don't read the news, and be quite honest, I don't blame you, the big story in the UK at the moment is about a guy called Dominic Cummings, who is a unelected government advisor, and he is the main person that advises, so we believe advises the Prime Minister Boris Johnson. As you know, Johnson very sadly got the virus himself. He was in hospital. He was in a very, very bad way. And the backstory to this is there's been a few government advisors, including scientists, who have lost their jobs recently for breaking the government guidelines, which I know changes a lot, but effectively is to do with travelling. I know it's been eased slightly, but this all happened during the severest time of lockdown in the UK, which basically meant, don't drive anywhere, etc., etc. And then what's happened, it wasn't like a question of this person admitted it. He got caught out driving a long, about 4.5 hour journey. He and his wife both had the virus symptoms, and they decided to drive their 4-year-old child to be near his parents, who live about 4 hours away, in case, therefore, they needed help with childcare.
But the biggest scandal is the fact that Boris Johnson has backed him. And
Well, yes. So what I was coming to, obviously, a lot of people who have really suffered and lost loved ones during the virus and been unable to even travel to a funeral parlour, all these things are very up in arms because Boris has backed him and said it's a kind of, basically what's really punched people in the teeth. He effectively said it's what any kind of parent would do. And it's like, well, no, because we're told not to do it. And let me preface this by saying there is a press conference after this recording with Dominic Cummings. So whether he then resigns, but as we record this, he hasn't resigned. He ain't going nowhere.
But you know...
sorry to interrupt. And the big problem is a lot of people out there think it's one rule for the elite and one rule for the rest of us. And that is the thing, forget about politics and what you believe in. That's the main nub that people are so upset, that it looks like the government themselves have set the guidelines for us, the people, are basically doing what they want. Yep. That's what's upset. And I also, to sort of show both sides, I agree. I think the press intrusion on his family and all that has been over the top. I'd like to add that. I don't agree with the sort of
witch hunt.
That's what we're looking for at the moment. But the nub of it is this was a person that if he hadn't resigned, the Prime Minister sort of sat and said, really, as he's done with others, it's not like other people haven't been sat.
Yeah.
Other people have for much less. Yeah. So it's one rule for one rule for the other.
So I asked actually people on my stories last night what they thought, and actually what you said earlier is like the rationale of like it's childcare and it had to do with childcare. So many people send in messages about their situations and how they have had to make like loads of sacrifices. This lady here wrote, my friend who is a single parent had COVID and had to look after her 3 and 10-year-old all alone. We took her we did her shopping and did what we could, but she battled through as she had no other choice according to the rules.
Yep.
So they're livid. And then other people actually were comparing, the whole press conference and how Boris came across as very similar to Trump. That kind of arrogance of sort of like not really giving answers and not really. Do you know what I mean?
Take any questions.
Yeah, no, I know.
Didn't take any questions yesterday. It was like a statement.
Another person said, disgusting. I've been working on the front line with a 4-year-old little boy to come home to each night, and my partner and all my colleagues have this virus are suffering massively. To think, alongside my colleagues, we have put our lives at risk for the government who doesn't give a toss. This is another thing. A lot of people who are frontliners feel very, very let down and frustrated because the whole campaign was stay home, stay lives, and help the NHS. And then again, there are people who are just not doing that.
To give again the opposite, some people have said, well, what's wrong? He's gone from a house to a car to another house. But what hasn't been factored in with that argument is it was over a 4-hour journey. You're telling me you're not going to stop at a service station with a 4-year-old.
No, but that's not it. Wait,
but it's also the two parents had the virus symptoms.
Yeah, but it's not just that, because the logic of not traveling far, by the way, was not just that. It was also what happens if you, God forbid, have an accident.
That's what I mean.
And you got to get an ambulance out or get stuck on the road or, and also if everybody does that, like it's when one person does it, it's not the end of the world. But if everybody does it, it becomes a problem. So, it's all that.
You have to set an example.
I'm very interested to see what they're going to say today at the press conference.
Well, I mean, there's huge backlash. I think rightly so.
Okay, well, that was a bit of what's happening in the news.
Breaking news.
But again, there were a few Americans who wrote in and said that they felt very encouraged that, they're not the only ones. A bit of a shit show in their country. So, Anyway, we're going to go back to the topic. So today we wanted to talk about back to school, which is really on everybody's minds because... everybody's wondering when are schools going to go
unless
back.
you have no kids and doesn't bother
and then
you.
it really doesn't
then
bother
really
you.
on your mind.
Yes.
You're just thinking when you can buy your next bottle of wine from.
Yeah, but let's face it does seem to be the hot topic, and especially since it's not just like your kids are not going to school, you also have to homeschool them, which is really what everybody's struggling with, the idea of having to homeschool, which is, let's face it.
Does anyone out there enjoy it?
No, well.
I don't know. There must be some people
there might be some people who enjoy it.
really enjoy the nourishment of giving your child I don't know. I mean, maybe people really enjoy it. I just find it very, very
But some people homeschool regardless of coronavirus. There are people who homeschool. Yeah. I think like if you probably your kids get great education, by the way, if you homeschool, like if that's what you do. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I'd like to see
I think so. Because let's face it, when you go to school, like 90% of the time is a waste of time, right? Like when you think about your education at school. No?
Oh, no, that's over the top. 90%.
I think so. I definitely 90%. Do. I remember when I was like in high school and I was so bad at math that I really thought that I was bad at maths. Like I left high school.
You were bad at maths.
No, but I'm not bad at maths. This is the thing. I thought that I was very, very bad at it at high school because I had really bad grades and I couldn't get it. And then when when I graduated high school, I didn't have like a high school diploma because I failed maths. And I had to redo it after. But when I redid it after, I did like a higher level, right, of what I did in high school. And it was so easy. And I thought to myself, how is this so easy? Because they didn't teach it properly. Because the whole system was just dumb. So like I feel
How did you get in the class at your school?
There were like over 30 kids in our class. 35 kids, yeah. So when, if you're homeschooling one child, and you're doing a one-on-one, I believe that you're probably getting a better education. But anyway, it's not for everybody. It's definitely not for me. But yeah, that's on everybody's mind, and I was interested to know
what
is that? Tell me.
Parenting tip: feeling guilty about your kids watching too much TV, just mute it and put the captions on. Boom! Now they're reading. I like that. Very funny.
That is good. It
Very
takes
good.
a village to raise a kid. It takes a, what is that?
Distillery
To homeschool one. I do feel like people are drinking way more.
Oh, the drinking's up.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, drinking's up by quite a bit.
I know.
You know? Especially with the weather being nice now.
Is that like your excuse,
Oh,
by the
yes,
way?
of course
God,
it is.
we opened a
Oh.
bottle of gin literally 2 days
Oh,
ago.
there you go.
It's disgusting. What's happened to us? And then yesterday I actually announced my plan is to get very drunk today. And then at 10 o'clock I was like, I'm going to bed now.
It's extraordinary. You were sort of... I can see you a little bit tipsy. The next minute, you sort of just went very quiet. I'm going upstairs. I'm very, very tired.
Because this is
I'll
the
be up
other
in a minute.
thing.
Literally just
You
out.
get drunk and it's like there's no point in getting drunk
But wasn't
because
it
you've
weird
got
when you said
going
it? Because you went, I'm not having dinner. I'm going to get drunk. And you can't drink and eat for some bizarre
No, I
reason.
can't.
I'm like, right, we're watching TV now. You want to start drinking now? It's just really bizarre. Do it now in the afternoon. The sun's out. Get in the garden.
Oh no!
Run around a bit.
If I drink in the afternoon, I'll get a horrible migraine.
Oh,
You know, like
God.
it's. I have to really plan my drinking. You know, it's not like. Anyway, so in the UK, right? What are we doing in the UK? Can you tell people?
So I apologise for you on YouTube. I'm basically wearing women's glasses. That's all I've got to find on me.
They're your glasses.
No, I don't know.
They are your glasses.
Well, I bought them on eBay. Didn't realise they're women's glasses. There you are. I got that pound. So the government has said primary schools will reopen at the earliest on June the 1st, which is next week,
Yes.
as part of Boris Johnson's conditional plan for reopening the UK. The reopening will begin just with the youngest pupils in reception in year 1 plus year 6.
What is the
But
logic?
Wait a minute, just
Okay,
do this.
sorry.
But schools across the country have said they can't, some schools and councils have said they cannot ensure safety and just won't be opening.
Yeah. First of all, they have left it up to the schools because we received an email from the school saying, yes, schools are going to reopen, whatever. But if parents don't want to send their kids to school because you don't say, we're not going to do anything about it. In England, you get fined if you don't send your kids to school.
Quite a lot as well,
Yeah.
isn't it, every day?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of money. So we were like saying, oh, God, like, are they going to fine us? Are we going to have to make up excuses if we don't want to send the kids to school? Will we have to make up excuses and say somebody's ill or whatever? And then they came out with that
Said it
email.
won't
So
affect you.
essentially, what I read between the lines is that it's not really 100% safe to send your kids to school. Wait, this is my interpretation. However, the economy and the bigger picture, it's like in everybody's interest, I guess, like as a whole, to start kind of like going back to normal because people need to go back to work and a lot of people need to send their kids to school in order to be able to go back to work. So they're saying, send your kids to school, but if you can afford to not send your kids to school, then leave them home. That's what I'm reading between the lines.
Yes, but I don't know the statistics, but I'm sure the majority of couples who, whereby one of them or even both of them are both looking after the kids the whole time,
Yeah.
i.e. both will have full-time jobs.
Yeah.
One might have a full-time job, they have a part-time job, but effectively you're very, very lucky if you're in a relationship where only one of you needs to do any work. On the whole, I mean, that's largely on the whole. And this is the problem that in this country again, there's this furloughing going on, whereby the government are paying a percentage of your wages while you don't work. They want to ease that soon. They want to ease it from August, certainly in September, October. So financially, you won't have that safety net. No. So obviously, it makes sense. We need to ease kids back into school. And again, the science, and I know you can argue, well, this virus is new and we don't know. But so far, the science has said, although children...
So you're advocating kids should go back to school?
I am to a certain degree.
Oh, really? Wow, that's interesting.
The science
Clearly,
says,
we haven't discussed this.
Yeah, but the science says kids can get the virus, but statistically, they're far less chance of them getting the symptoms, and it's suffering as someone who's very old.
Yeah, but I think there's a much bigger picture. Like you don't send the kids back to school in a bubble. Like, hey kid, wake up in the morning, put you in a bubble, let's roll you down the street in a bubble, and then you'll just appear at school and kids are okay. No, it means that more people will be using public transport because not everybody has a car and can take their kids to school by car. It means that, there are teachers and staff members at a school that are adults that could get affected, etc. Like you stop at the shop more because you need to get a snack for your kids, like on the way home. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like it has a much larger ripple effect. It's not just like, oh, kids are okay, kids don't get it, or kids can fight it, or whatever it is that people say. So I think like there's a much larger
Yeah,
picture.
I know, but what I'm
Wait, but the main question, by the way, is how, are people feeling, do people feel safe to send their kids back to school? In different countries that have already started sending kids back to school, you can see that nobody has a clue of what to do.
Really?
No, they don't. They don't. And the way I see it is because every country is doing something slightly different.
Okay.
So that means that there is no one way. People are trying things out. It's a trial and error type of thing. A few weeks ago, France were the first ones. I think it was France. Excuse me if I'm getting this wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was France. And, there were like images of schools, with kids in the backyard with like little boxes drawn around them. And every kid had like a little box, drawn on the pavement, and they had to play within the box. That was their interpretation of social distancing at a school. Then in Israel, when they decided to bring back school kids, they decided that kids should be wearing masks 8 hours a day at school, which is insane, especially since there was a heat wave. So that went out the window. My point is that you see that different countries are trying to do different things because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So in my opinion, as a parent, right, that doesn't give me reassurance. I don't feel safe. I don't think they know enough, like you said, about the virus, but also about how to handle social distancing with children.
So when will you be happy for kids to go back
and
to
there've
school?
been psychologists, by the way, who have talked as well about, mental health and our well-being and happiness also with staying at home for so long. Of course, it has an effect. What effect does it have on children? But what effect does it have on children, especially young children, to go back to school but be told that they can't hug with their kids, that they have to maintain some sort of distance? Like, I think that, yes, the kids are at home all day, or we just go to the park with them or whatever, but at least they are not experiencing this sort of like, oh, there's somebody I really love or I've missed and I want to touch or hug or be close to, and I actually can't do it. Like, there's good and bad in everything. Do you know what I mean?
So let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
If they find, as it's possibly looking, if they don't find an antidote for this virus, i.e. there's some semblance of injection, we still don't know if by having it, the antibodies are there and strong enough to stop you getting it again. With that in mind, when would you be comfortable for children to eventually go back to school?
Well, I think that it really depends on the virus rate in a country, like in
so you
each
look
country.
at the R rate.
Yeah, for me, I'm very interested in that. I think like the UK started very late. So we're paying the price for it now, but I've always said that. So, we just have to reap what we saw, and that's it. Did I say that right? Mm-hmm. My point is that now, we have to wait a bit longer. Yes, the peak potentially is behind us, but the rate is still really high. There's still a lot of people dying every day, like I don't understand like how we could consider such a massive change when the rate is still so high.
So would you look at a specific number?
I would
only
I don't know.
10 people a day are dying, so it's okay. What kind of number would you go, all right, what, I'll take that risk.
The ambition should be no new cases.
No.
Every day, no new cases. I don't understand why that is so unheard of. There are countries that is the reality for them. Look at Israel. I know they didn't have like a high rate to begin with because they did something about it pretty quick. There's other countries that are not presenting new cases. The UK and the US are fucked. And the only reason why we're rushing to reopen is because of the economy. The other theory that I have, and I don't know if this is based on anything, but it's just a gut feeling, is that, people are getting fed up. And also when you look at other countries, it's like when Italy was really bad, it was easier for the UK to kind of shut down because they had something worse to look at and kind of go. Whereas now you're seeing countries opening up. It's the other way around. The UK are going, oh God, they're already going to coffee shops. They're already doing that. I want to do that, Exactly. But we're 2-3 weeks behind all these countries. But also I'm thinking, I can't remember what I was going to say. I want to read what other people are saying because we've got followers that honestly are from around the world, and it's interesting. Mm-hmm. So we've got from Greece, right? Van Dalaki, I think, is saying Greece has only opened the last year of high school. Primary nursery is still closed and will remain closed, and the plan is to open in early September. That's another thing. A lot of countries have just said, do you know what? We're done for the year. I remember now what I wanted to say. Mm-hmm. And we're only going to come back in September. And this is the theory that I have. I think that most countries are expecting a second wave. you know?
Right, yes.
And I think
most-
like they just kind of want to get it over with before the winter. So in a way, they're easing things up now for it to happen now, like not now, in like a month's time, after people have had a little bit of fun in the park and a little sense of summer, right? But then they'll kind of lock up again towards winter, that type of thing. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the feeling I get. France has closed schools again after 70 classes after 1 week back. That's interesting.
I think a lot has got to do with what you will and won't be allowed to do in terms of travelling and summer holidays. I personally think if things were eased in the country, your country, wherever, that you could travel, maybe not abroad, but a staycation, and you could travel a bit with your kids and have a change of scenery and get out your house, apartment and go and do stuff. I think, therefore, you can use an argument to go, look, we're coming up to the summer holidays, the 6 weeks anyway. Let's throw those summer holidays, come back in September. If, however, you still cannot go on some kind of trip and holiday and you're stuck here, then I think people are going to really find it tough.
For sure. Listen, Dora from Israel says, she actually wrote it in Hebrew, but I'll translate. She says in Israel, they sent back the nursery of my son, right, is it's the fact that my kid can go to nursery is literally a lifesaver, but there are new cases in schools in our neighborhood. One teacher had given it to two other teachers, and two students have it. One of the students has given it to my little sister. So there's a lot of uncertainty. The point is, you need to know how to come back, how to reopen the schools, and I think they did it too quickly here. So this is the other thing, you know, I think there's a massive dilemma in terms of parents. Like you said, it really boils down to work. And I think each family has to make their decisions according to their individual situation. The government, it's not even about trust anymore, right? The government sees like the whole picture. They have things on their agenda that are not necessarily good for the individual.
And
that is the fact. And that is a fact.
That.
Yeah. So I think people need to make decisions like for themselves. In our situation, the fact that we both work from home, right, means that as far as I'm concerned, yes, my kids, they are a pain in the ass. Yes, I fucking hate homeschooling and all that type of thing. And I'd love to just send them out back to school. But at the end of the day, we have the option of not sending them back to school, which actually I think would help the entire system. Because if less people send back to school, again, you're not going back to 100%. You know what I mean?
They're talking about, in a lot of countries, about half classrooms and all that. And again, it depends on what kind of school you go to. Here we are. These are some of the other...
To be honest, if I'm being completely honest, I think that when it came to the homeschooling, right, the government... didn't this is where the government has failed its citizens, by the way, because they didn't really provide enough support when it came to homeschooling. The fact that each school's doing what they think is right, each year is doing what they think is right. Some, you know, they send you this sheet with like a million different links to go online. I don't understand that.
Your idea about coming up on TV.
Most people, not everybody has not everybody has like a million devices at home and the ability to do that, and also the ability to sit with your kids like so many hours and so intensely, like it relies a lot on you being there. And I'm thinking, but most people have a television at home. I don't understand how it just didn't become like a national thing. Do a frickin' channel for every single school year. I don't understand why that wasn't a thing. Like this is just a stupid idea. Like maybe it's dumb, but you know, there was so many other things they could have done to support parents, which they haven't. So in my sense, that's been their biggest failure. What did you want to say?
No, just in other countries. I mean, in China, where obviously the outbreak started last year in Wuhan, in China they started opening schools at the end of April. Wuhan, where the city where the outbreak began, reopened high schools on May the 6th. But they've got primary school kids wearing special hats with balloons the length to stop social distancing. So try to make it fun, so you don't want the balloon to hit each other.
Oh my God.
Which is quite a nice idea.
That's actually disturbing, but okay. Wow.
Sweden, there's been no real lockdown, but many other parts of Europe, France, Greece, Germany, Denmark, Norway, have started opening schools and allowing bigger social gatherings. For those of you in Australia will know, New South Wales and Queensland are planning a phased return to on-site schooling. Victoria, the state of Victoria, is holding steadfast against bringing students, other than those from essential workers, back into the classroom. South Africa has begun reopening its schools, allowing students to return, again in a phased approach. There is, however, still bizarrely a ban on the sale there of cigarettes and alcohol.
I know.
Imagining having to homeschool out all day without
having a drink. I know. There's somebody, here's a teacher who wrote in on my Insta and said, I don't think that it's safe, not for the staff and not for the kids. It feels rushed. This is a teacher from the UK saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't.
But I mean, I think looking at.
I will not be sending my kids back. There's still a huge death toll every day, and you don't have to. It's not worth the risk. There's a lot of I'm wondering if it's going to become one of those things, by the way, that's going to create a massive argument. There's a lot of parenting things that spark this, two camps. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
I think I would be happy if the teachers were tested every day, their temperature, as soon as they came in, the teachers were tested for any symptoms, as all the children are tested with those things, temperatures, anything, well, not to take the parents' word for it, all that. All classrooms to be disinfected as soon as it's break time. Someone comes in, does the lot. It literally has to go like this continuously. So you think, how can this get in? I know you can have it without showing symptoms. I get that, but
It doesn't work like that, Mike.
Why not? Why can't it
Because
work
you
like
could get it on your way to school in a bus. You could be standing in a bus next to somebody, get it, come to school, still not have a temperature. And then you've spent a whole day there and all 3, 4, 5 days before you present any type of symptom. It's not that sterile. You can't do that. You just can't, It just doesn't work like that. For me, you asked me yesterday, Mike went to the park and the kids played with other children. I got really upset because we haven't actually socialized with anybody. We've been very, I think, not good in a sense that other people are bad, but just good in really sticking to the rules and sort of really, really taking it very, very seriously. And by the way, not just for us, I do it as a sense of actually responsibility. Because why do I clap on a Thursday to the NHS and go, thank you so much for doing what you're doing, if then I'm going to the park and having beers with mates and sort of not social distancing? That's hypocrisy. I have a real issue with people who do that. So going back to the beginning of this conversation. Anyway, they did, and Mike came back and said, but it was only the kids. I didn't go next to them, it wasn't the adults. But I was like, yeah, but now your children who potentially maybe would get it and would be fine and maybe not even present any symptoms are at home with you, and you've got asthma, and that's it's like a ball, it's like a snowball effect. Do you know what I mean? And everybody's fed up. I'm so fed up. I'm so fucking fed up. I'm so ready for it to be over. You know what I mean? I'm so ready for
Tell me about it.
So ready for it to be over. Yeah. But if tomorrow the decision in the UK would have been to return our children's years back to school.
Our years aren't covered.
They would not be going to school. And by the way, I know that another dilemma that parents have is when your kids are in the years that are supposed to go back and they want to go back. Because some parents would have maybe said, no, don't go back. But the children want to go back. I've heard that from people saying, I don't have any excuses left. My sister said that about her daughter. Because the schools went back and she said, no, there's no need, stay home. And then at some point, her daughter came and said, my friends have gone back. I want to go back. And there was no choice. She had to send her back because the child wanted. She's a year older than our eldest. So, she's 10. Anyway, there's no right or wrong, right?
Well, everyone has their opinion and that's it. And until you get fined or in big trouble for not sending your kids back to school, people will exercise their rights.
Anyway, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who sent in their loads, so many. We try to include as much as we can, but
you got about 2 out.
I didn't. I read more
Did you?
out. I just didn't say names because I don't know if people want me to say their names. This is
Sure,
the
they'd
thing.
love to hear their name on
Do you
the
think?
podcast.
Well, anyway, but thank you for so many countries here. Norway, the schools have started again a few weeks ago. We're very worried, but so far it's been good. This was Christina. There's just so many people, so many countries. Anyway, let us know what's happening with you guys, how you're feeling. If you enjoy this podcast, and hopefully you've subscribed, downloaded. We really need reviews. So if you are listening, please leave us a review on iTunes.
And we can keep this conversation
Yeah.
going. We can come back to it in the next couple of weeks. And,
For sure.
You know, that'd be
And by
wonderful.
the way, our new podcast day is going to be now Tuesdays. That's going to be our regular day. Yeah.
That's the first I've been told of it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all right.
Okay, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.